This is Africa right here.
Oh, well done. It looks like we have one of those big brain flat earthers on the channel today. He can actually find Africa, the second largest continent on the planet. So I can see why it might be a little bit hard to miss. Good job, fella. And starting strong with actually being right about something. Let's keep it up, mate. I mean, he won't. He's a flat earther. He's gonna say something extremely stupid sooner or later. But what do they say? Enjoy the sun before it explodes and burns us all alive. I think it's something like that.
And at 12 p.m. Universal Time, the sun will line up with Africa.
Again, great job. That is correct. Although, of course, it's correct in that it is essentially the definition of universal time coordinated, or coordinated universal time, or however you want to say it. Anywhere that falls under that section of the planet when it is 12 noon in that section of the planet, it is where the sun is at its highest point in the sky, more or less. I mean, it gets a bit screwy with some other time zones. I mean, look at this shit. But for all intents and purposes, for most of the planet where people actually live, 12 noon in any given time zone, the sun will be decently high in the sky at that moment.
It always lines up with Africa at 12 p.m. Universal Time.
Again, yes. It also lines up with the UK, although we call it Greenwich Mean Time, because we are special. And also, you know, because the Royal Greenwich Observatory was where they invented time or something? I don't fucking know. It's just what it's called, and there's no way to find out why. I mean, I'm sure I could look it up, but what am I supposed to do? Be less lazy than a flurf? Huh, not gonna happen.
To prove this, we can go to timeanddate.com and go to 12 noon Universal Time.
That's not how you would prove it. You would prove it by understanding how time, works. I mean, literally, you could be almost anywhere on the planet and look into the sky, and if the sun is at or around its highest point in that sky, you can confidently predict that it is around noon. That's how that shit works. You don't need timeanddate.com to show that. You need the most basic understanding of the things you are talking about.
Any day of the year, this is December 22nd here, but we can go back 4 weeks, and it doesn't matter what day it is, at 12 noon, it's going to show the sun will line up with Africa.
God, you can really tell he thinks he's onto something here. Like he spotted something that we just hadn't noticed, and that only he, with his huge brain and smarting powers, has discovered. It's like listening to a toddler when they realize something about the world, and they tell you all excited, and it's just the most mundane shit that you've ever heard. But you have to humor them because, they're only a few years old. They're still learning new shit every single day. But when a grown-ass man does this shit, the only reaction is, well, to treat them exactly like the child. Oh, well done. You figured it out, aren't you a smart boy? And they like it too.
December 22nd at 12 noon, it shows the sun right here. The Earth is rotating.
It is really weird to hear a flat earther say things that are correct multiple times, even if it is basic and kind of, mundane shit that we all know, and he's only just figuring it out. But hey, it's better than nothing. The only real downside is when the penny drops and they fuck it all up, you realize they aren't just ignorant, they're a goddamn moron. Looking forward to it.
It takes 24 hours to make one full rotation for the Earth to go all the way around back to the point it started at.
The interesting thing is that the hours we have come from a long line of different metrics for measuring time, all kind of smashed together from Egyptians to the Mayans. There are various parts at play when it comes to how we do time as we currently do it. It's one of the reasons when Christ boys come along and all like, what year was the first part of the Bible written, or some other question about early history, and then they're like, ha ha ha, BC, before who? And yeah, the years we use are based on the work of a Christian dude. But So fucking what? The numbers we use are Arabic. The days we use are fucking Norse. There are as many influences on the things that we use every day as there are things we use every day. That doesn't mean that Odin is real, or that Muhammad was the true prophet of God, or that indeed Jesus got nailed to a wooden board because God takes all his father-son pranks way too far every single time. And he doesn't even have a family vlog.
We've all been taught the Earth rotates all the way around for 24 hours.
That's because what it does. Again, 24-hour days are closely aligned to Earth's rotation from any given point. If you wait 24 hours, you will be in the same place, give or take. That's how it works. That is effectively what we are measuring, even if the flat Earth was true somehow. That is the observation that we make about time and place on the surface of this planet. Again, for the majority of it, the poles notwithstanding, because they just love to be different and make sure the rules don't apply to them. No wonder nobody wants to live there. Can't think of any other reason.
And that makes a day. And if you ever have somebody who wants to get technical with you, they're going to say, oh, it's actually not 24 full hours.
Oh my goodness, he knows about another thing. Although, you can just feel the incredulity fucking oozing off of him at this point. But no, they are absolutely right. The Earth rotation isn't exactly 24-hour as we use it. But that's more for the ease of use of time and dates rather than anything else. We do, of course, correct for that. Although, what's the betting this motherfucker has never heard of a goddamn leap day? I mean, to be fair, it's not like it happens every 4 years. And since he has the brain of a 4-year-old, well, it would stand to reason that he might not have experienced more than one. That's not fair. 4-year-olds are way smarter than any flat earther. I take it all back.
But tell that to every clock you've ever had.
Well, there it is. Never ever say that flirfs aren't consistent. They always bring out the stupid at some point, don't they? Right. Clocks, yeah, they're not the arbiters of absolute time. Any clock you have ever had is not some extremely finely tuned instrument of accuracy that is completely flawless. At least one that you're going to find in someone's house. And if you think they are, you know nothing about them. That's on top of the fact that people made clocks. Clocks do not dictate time. Clocks tell the time the way that we want them to. You could make a clock that showed 24 hours as like 3 hours if you really wanted. That wouldn't suddenly change the rate and flow of time. The clocks in your house do not exactly show the rotation of the Earth. The rotation of the Earth is dictated by the rotation of the Earth, not by what time your fucking clock says it is.
Because every clock I've ever had or seen counts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't be very good clocks if they didn't do that, you giant penis. Seriously, the simplistic mind of the flurf is endlessly fascinating to me. They really seem to think that only the most basic of observation of things they clearly don't understand are the way to do any science ever. It's remarkable, really.
The only time we ever change any time is when we fall back or spring forward, and that's just an hour, and it kind of balances out.
The clocks going back and forward, aka daylight savings, you know it has a name, right? It has nothing to do with 24-hour clocks. It exists, as I understand it, to give farmers more daylight to work within while the rest of the world functions around them. And a large portion of the world doesn't even do it anymore. It's up to some contention as to whether or not it's a good thing. For me personally, it's really annoying because every 6 months I have to change my announcement from 8 p.m. GMT to 8 p.m. GMT +1. Therefore, it's terrible and should be abolished for making me type 2 extra keystrokes. Unbelievable that they've allowed this travesty to continue, really.
So I want to take a look at 12 p.m. Universal Time, because that means the sun is directly in line with Africa.
I would fucking hope so, because the fact is, if you set a thing to 12 p.m. UTC and it showed fucking Australia or something, either the tool you are working with is broken or somehow you screwed up your entries so hard that you managed to show a completely different part of the goddamn planet. I mean, it's the other side, more or less. And frankly, I believe in you, Mr. Flat Earth. I'm sure you'll figure out some way to fuck it up.
And it's always directly in line with Africa. like I've just shown. This day in particular I've got pulled up is December 22nd.
You could pick the 1st of January or the 17th of August or even the mysterious 29th of February. That probably doesn't exist, and you would still expect that 12 p.m. UTC would line up with, 12 p.m. UTC. It would be like expecting to go to Times Square in New York and find that you're actually in the middle of the Brazilian rainforest. Things are called the things that they are, usually because that's what they fucking are.
December 22nd is the winter solstice, and as you can see right here would be Africa, and it's in line with the sun.
The date is effectively irrelevant, my dude. It's the time that determines which part of the planet is facing the sun. Well, technically the opposite, but you know what I mean. And of course, the date determines, or is indeed determined by, the Earth's current location on its trip around the sun. These two things are effectively not connected in that sense. You know, like how your brain isn't connected to your body and is instead floating somewhere in the sewers after it fell out of your head when you pushed just a little bit too hard. Interestingly, that was the day before you decided that the Earth was flat. But again, unrelated, obviously.
Just as it should be.
Well, no, not as it should be. It is as it is, based on our observations and how we choose to express those observations in a way that we can use to keep track of time in a useful manner for all the things we, need to do with it. If the Earth span much faster or much slower, then it would be different. There's no should about it.
December 22nd during the winter solstice at 12 p.m. Universal Time, this is correct. The sun would be directly overhead.
Hey, don't you disparage Vault Boy by using him in your video. He's a good boy who didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, he is the face of an evil corporation that does fucked up experiments to people who can't even escape unless they want to get a crispy coating of death. But that's not his fault, is it? I mean, fault. Boy.
If you notice, though, during the winter solstice, the sun would be to the east or to the right of Earth.
To the east or right of Earth? Are you fucking stupid? Do not answer that. What the hell? There is no fucking right in space, and there certainly isn't a fucking east, you goddamn lunatic. Those things are relative to your position on this fucking planet. Your inability to comprehend that all these things are based on people's existence on a planet that is where it is and does what it do, and not that things like right or east are just facts about the universe. God damn, my brain is starting to boil.
Because we're going around the sun as well as rotating. Well, if we look at this, it shows December 22nd at 12 noon. The sun is exactly where it should be.
You know what? I only just noticed something about his graphic here because I was so focused on the bit he was talking about. But, well, let me just put this up for the rest of the class who's almost as slow as I am and tell me what is wrong with this picture. What piece of information is missing from here that would make it make any fucking sense? Yeah, and now I think I know where he's going with this, and it's going to be even stupider than pretty much everything else he said. Damn it.
And that's where it always is. This is June 22nd at 12 noon. The sun is still exactly where it should be.
Yes, at 12 noon UTC. If it were 12 noon in a different time zone, it would in fact be somewhere else in a different time zone. God doesn't exist almighty. Get to your fucking terrible point. The tension is freaking killing me.
It's still right above Africa. Here's the problem.
Okay, right, here we go. If you haven't guessed what his fucking stupid point is already, then you need to prepare yourself for some pretty staggering stupid. And if I'm wrong, then I can only assume it's even worse than I think it is. God damn it, I really hope not.
On June 22nd, during the summer solstice, Africa, if we are rotating in 24-hour periods, unless something has changed somewhere and changed drastically, like somehow we have lost or gained 12 full hours, Africa is facing space.
Not at 12 noon coordinated universal time, you absolute fucking brainlet. You see how he's not put the times on this? Yeah, exactly. If you do any date on the timeanddate.com thing with the same time, shockingly, it's always going to show you the same time. It's not about gaining or losing time, it's about its relative position. Also, we do in fact have time differences of about 6 hours. You know, enough time that maybe every 4 years or so, we need to add a fucking day to the year. But it's irrelevant. The time of day will tell you where the sun is. The time of year tells you where the planet is. These are based on observations. That's how they work. It's not the other way round, you absolute clown.
It won't be facing the sun.
You gotta love that long pause. He really thinks he's come up with a gotcha, and not just that he's demonstrated that he doesn't understand how times and dates work and the position of his planet in the solar system. None of it does he understand at all. And using that misunderstanding, he thinks he's found a flaw in the endless amounts of science that cannot be explained. And in a sense, it can't be, because what he thinks would be is just wrong. And you can't correct someone when they can't or won't understand how they are wrong.
If we are living on a globe, and the globe is rotating in 24-hour periods every day, just like all of our clocks say.
The fucking clocks again. Dude, that doesn't even account for the ones that are poorly made or wrong, or the other kinds of clocks there are that measure other things, including ones that measure the sidereal day. You know, the one that you don't think is real. Why would they do that? Why does that exist at all? Oh right, just to prove your clocks prove the flat earth hypothesis is really fucking stupid, obviously.
Every clock you own counts 24-hour days, and presumably each and every day, when it's noon in your time zone wherever you live, the sun is supposed to be directly above you.
Again, not supposed. It will be, because that's what 12 noon means. If it meant something else, then it would be that instead. Words and measurements and all those things, they have meanings. They are based on things. And when you think that suddenly the thing they mean should be different based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what they are, that doesn't suddenly prove that the entirety of science is wrong. It proves that you are wrong. Whenever you think that you have stumped all the scientists, you should not assume that they and basically everyone else is wrong. You should assume, oh no, did I fuck up again?
Yet what we observe here is this is correct, but this completely falls apart as our Earth going around the sun gets to the opposite side of the sun.
No, I think that all we have observed is that flat earthers are completely incapable of understanding anything about the universe. I mean, of course they can't. They wouldn't be flat earthers if they could.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel, Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the